Yo, what is up everybody, and welcome back to another Madden 17 online game. Today we are continuing the 32 team preview series for the upcoming NFL season with the Green Bay Packers on deck today. Last time we talked about the Minnesota Vikings and I said I think they'll be close to winning the division, but I didn't say they win the NFC North because I think the Green Bay Packers are the favorites to win the North once again this year. Last year, it took a last-second victory against the Detroit Lions in the last game of the regular season to win the North, even though they already had a playoff berth secured before that game. But, as you guys remember, the Packers were red hot to end last season. They rallied off like 7 wins in a row in the regular season, including that win against the Lions to give them the North. They beat the Giants in the wildcard round. Then they beat Dallas in that tremendous divisional round game, only to lose to the Packers in an absolute, or not the Packers, lose to the Falcons in an absolute blowout in the championship game. And that's the story about the Green Bay Packers. Ever since they won the Super Bowl in 2010 with Rodgers, they've come close. They made the playoffs pretty much every single year, but it's always something that just bites them. What do you think about that Seattle game when they blew that 16-0 lead in overtime? You think about the game or the season last year. There's just something that always seems to hold back Green Bay. Last year, it was definitely not the offense. When you start talking about Green Bay Packers football for the past, 10 seasons has it been now? You talk about Aaron Rodgers at the quarterback position. And Rodgers, especially in the second half of last year, he was on it. He was one of, if not the best quarterbacks. You had Matt Ryan winning the MVP. You had Tom Brady being Tom Brady. But you also had Aaron Rodgers creeping his way into that MVP discussion. It was a little too late for him. But the man had, 4,500 passing yards. He had 40 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. That's tremendous numbers for a quarterback. And you guys know that because Aaron Rodgers we're talking about. One of the best, if not the best quarterback in the game right now. Along with Aaron Rodgers, though, you got a really good wide receiver core. Once again, coming back this year, no one really left. Jordy's still here. You still got Davante Adams, who had his best season last season. People were waiting for Davante Adams to break out, and this was it. Randall Cobb is still on the team. And on top of that, now you have, I was going to say Michael Bennett, Martellus Bennett on the squad. And Martellus Bennett might be the best tight end Aaron Rodgers has ever played with. You think about Jermichael Finley and stuff like that, but besides that, they really struggled to have a good, consistent tight end around Aaron Rodgers. And I mean, Martellus Bennett's getting a little bit up there in age, but still, Martellus was pretty good last year for New England. He had to step up when Gronk got hurt at the end of last season on the Super Bowl run, and you know, he didn't really make too much noise in the Super Bowl, but he was there. He's a good blocking tight end. He's a good route, you know. He's a good big body. He can get open and stuff like that. And to have that kind of person on there, as well as everyone else at the wide receiver position, and Ty Montgomery coming out the backfield, Green Bay's offense can somehow be even better next season. It's hard to think about a guy who threw 40 touchdowns and 7 interceptions having a better offense. And on top of that, I don't think I mentioned it yet, they have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. You can't forget about that when you talk about the Green Bay Packers. Even though they let Josh Sitton go last year, you know, you still got Linsley in there in the middle. He's been a staple of the offensive line now after being, a rookie the last 2 years. He was pretty good last year. So now when you talk about the Green Bay offensive line, you got to talk about Linsley. You got to talk about David Bakhtiari and Bulaga, one of the best, if not the best, tackle duo. And they really have no weaknesses in that offensive line. They're bringing all these guys back for this season. So Green Bay's offense is good luck stopping it. For some reason, they always seem to get off the slow starts at the beginning of the year, so maybe they might do that again. But, I mean, when that second half stretch hits and when Aaron Rodgers is feeling it, somehow when the weather gets worse, Rodgers plays better. When that stretch hits, this offense is going to be scary. The problem with the Packers, though, is the defense. Mainly the secondary. And they did a lot to try to improve that secondary this year. So we went over the offense. They're bringing back most of the guys. Maybe a couple improvements besides that. The only problem is Ty Montgomery, the running back position. That's okay. Ty Montgomery switched to running back last year. But they really have no depth behind Ty Montgomery. So let's say Ty Montgomery gets hurt. Yeah, good luck, Green Bay. Good luck. I don't even know who their second string running back is. I don't think they even know who their second string running back is. But, yeah, so we'll go to the defense here. That's really the big problem. The Packers, during that early season struggle, it wasn't really the offense that was doing bad as opposed to the defense was getting absolutely torched. They would be giving up like 40 points per game to these guys, and that's how they ultimately lost the playoffs last year. They gave up almost 400 passing yards to Matt Ryan. And Matt Ryan's good and all, but you shouldn't be giving up 400 passing yards to anyone. And, you know, the Falcons put up 44 points. So They're bringing back some of the guys from last year. The good guys, like HaHa Clinton Dix and Morgan Burnett, are still going to be there, and that's exciting. But they also got a new guys drafted, and one new guy brought in from free agency. They bought Devon House, who used to be on the team, went to, I believe, the Jaguars, and now is back. He wasn't really too good on the Jaguars, but he's back anyway, so we'll see how that does for them. HaHa Clinton Dix and Morgan Burnett, that is the one bright spot of that secondary. They're one of the best safety duos in the league, especially HaHa Clinton Dix. Absolutely love what he's bringing for Green Bay so far. Great in the run game, hard hitter, and he's making plays on the ball now. He had 5 interceptions last year, so that's really exciting. But for Green Bay, that cornerback position, a huge problem. It was one of their strengths when they were on the Super Bowl run and all that, but Sam Shields isn't there anymore. Tron Williams isn't there anymore. Now you got Demarius Randall, who really was not that good last year. You had Gunter, who was pretty damn bad last year. And Micah Hyde, who might have been their best defensive back. He was a nickel guy a lot, or cornerback, I should say. He's gone, so he's not even there anymore. So that position has to step up, because if it doesn't, someone's going to torch Green Bay in the playoffs again. You cannot get away with having that bad of a secondary. Their front seven is pretty decent, but not decent enough to get away, or good enough, I should say, to get away with how bad their secondary is. Because Mike Daniels has been a staple of that defensive line for a while now. You got Nick Perry, who was okay. Kenny Clark drafted him last year, showing some signs. If he gets more snaps, we'll see what he does in his second year. If he can break out, but, I mean, you got, it's a decent front seven. Jake Ryan is up there. He looked pretty good last year. He's a decent guy in coverage. He can get the job done at that position, but it just doesn't make up for the problems in the secondary. I can't emphasize how bad I think they were last in passing yards given up last year, passing defense. So you got to improve from there. So what the Packers did is they drafted 2 guys to try to help that secondary this year. And the Packers have been drafting guys in their secondary for a while now lately. They got HaHa Clinton Dix in the first round. They got Demarius Randall in the first round. And now with their first draft pick, which was the second draft pick in the second. Yeah, the first draft pick in the second round last year. You try saying that one. Kevin King, 33rd overall pick. He's a tall guy. He's supposed to be the new age kind of cornerback. And they really need him to bring something, because the rest of those cornerbacks they're bringing back, not really too good. And then they also drafted Josh Jones in the late second round at the safety spot, which is kind of weird because they already have Morgan Burnett and HaHa Clinton Dix. But you got to think they're going to try to run more 3 safety lineups next year. If they're going to have that kind of personnel, have those guys out, you hope to have Kevin King out there, maybe have Demarius Randall out there as well, and hope that brings some sort of improvements to your secondary. And then last year's draft class, we mentioned Kenny Clark, who was the first round pick last year, and otherwise didn't really get too much from their draft class. You hope that some of the linebackers they drafted last year step up a little bit more. This year, they drafted another linebacker in the 4th round, Vince Beagle. I think he's from Wisconsin, so whatever he brings is a plus. They could use Clay Matthews, by the way. I didn't mention Clay Matthews. They could use him. He was pretty inconsistent last year. Anything you get from Clay is a plus. But the main problem with the Green Bay Packers is the secondary. I'll just say it one more time. And prediction on the Green Bay Packers record, I do think they could do pretty good this year. The Packers, for some reason, besides that 1-15-1 season, never are really a regular season team. They're more of a heat up in the second half and show you what we have in the playoff kind of team. That's how they won their one Super Bowl. They were, I believe, the 5 or 6 seed. They were in the wildcard round either way. But I mean, I think Green Bay goes 10 or 6, 11 or 5 this year. You know, something like that. They win the NFC North, and then we'll see what happens in the playoffs. I mean, I hope for them that they can make some noise, because for a while now, we've been waiting for that Brady-Rodgers Super Bowl, and Tom Brady's been holding up his end of the bargain. He's been there a couple of times lately. Rodgers, not so much. Aaron Rodgers needs to return to the big stage, and in order for him to return, he needs that defense, all right? The defense keeps on getting torched. I mean, obviously, it might be a little bit of Aaron Rodgers' fault. I don't want to say it's 100% not Aaron Rodgers and 100% on the defense, but those guys got torched last year. They could step it up. We could see the Packers return. They got close last year. They got close. They beat my Giants. Unfortunately. Hopefully my Giants can take them down next year, but they did beat my Giants. They did beat Dallas. And then it looked really good for them. Then they fell apart. So hopefully they turn it up. And that'll pretty much do it for this game as well that you guys are seeing. So that's my prediction on the Packers. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section about Green Bay this season, especially Green Bay fans. I want to know what you guys are feeling about your team this season. If you guys feeling optimistic about a Super Bowl run. If you guys are a little bit skeptical about the team on paper. It looks pretty good though for Green Bay. It does look pretty good, especially that offense. That offense, I can't wait to see what they do next season. Jordy's getting a little up there in age, but with the Davante Adams, Randall Cobb, Ty Montgomery. The offensive line they had, their running game was actually pretty good last season. It's something people don't talk about. The running game was actually pretty good last season. So they could bring something like that back. Hey, we'll see. No Eddie Lacy, but Ty Montgomery might be able to carry the torch. So leave a like in the video if you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe for more. I'll catch you guys next time when we return with some more NFC North action.